Hello! Well, today we are not gonna talk about Iskal because he unfortunately didn't have time to finish his Hermitcraft Season 8 base. But he's probably gonna return stronger than ever to Season 9, and till that we're gonna take a look at my favorite Hermitcraft Season 8 bases. And of course everyone knows that my opinion's always the ultimate truth, so without further ado, let's get started. Falsesymmetrie. So this one might be one of the most surprising bases, because Falses is one of the smaller ones. But the reason for her place in my top list is just the sheer creativity of this thing. And maybe it doesn't feel like that for other people, but for me this is just a building out of seemingly random blocks like sandstone, mushroom blocks and concrete that were put together and just worked out perfectly. But other than that, it also looks as nice as it does due to all of the unique shades, the little details and the amazing location this build is on. Because this area between the dark forest and the swamp on the little hill, in my opinion, is the perfect place for this base. But enough of that, because to make this video unique and not just be one out of hundreds of base compilations, I'm gonna take a little detail in every base that I would want to improve. And what I'm gonna improve is this chimney from the outside here, because I think it looks a bit boring. So let's do that. I'm back and I'm done, but don't expect anything crazy. I just improved some little details and here it is. I made a little gradient to make it look like it's more weathered and the bricks are kind of overwashed, maybe with a bit of dirt from this to this. And down there are a few cobwebs, and I've put the hay bale under the campfire because the chimney was actually too big to see the smoke out there. So now it's higher and you can see it, and I've obviously also done something from the inside. Looks a bit like this here or like this, but how I said, nothing special. And now let's go on to the next base, Bdubs. This one in my opinion is just a bit like the typical peaceful Minecraft medium-sized base, which is a pretty long sentence. Not to disrespect Bdubs' creativity, because the houses are totally unique and fully detailed. But for me the crops and fields, together with the medieval style houses, are just what I picture when I think of a Minecraft base. And this is definitely one of the best executions I've ever seen. But can we go out of the ordinary for a second and appreciate this epic starter base? Back when Season 8 started, I actually played with the idea of making a starter base compilation, and this would have been my number one, and it still would be. And this moon is so epic, it also kinda predicted the moon story before the hermits knew about it themselves. That's crazy. But now to the little improvement for this one here. I actually had to think longer than for False's base. And now I settled on making this lake here look a bit more beautiful and detailed. So let's do that. So this is now done as well, and you can just see it. Here I made this little lake. It has a bit of soul sand, that was actually the latest edition, because I was inspired by this here. And other than that, I've just used some different blocks: pot soul, rooted dirt, sugar cane on the edges, bone mealed and sea tanked and sea pickled in the inside. A bit of gravel as well, but that's basically it. Don't wanna talk about it too much. I'm gonna have 10 bases to improve, so let's get to the next one. Pearl. Pearl's base obviously looks extremely awesome from the outside, but like most hermits, she probably expected the season to last 1 or 2 months more, cause I imagine she would have done way more interior if she had had the time. In between these two areas there's not a lot in the castle, so I think there would have been more. This is, by the way, also the reason why the candy factory isn't on this list, because it would have otherwise had a top spot if there was enough interior. But for Pearl, I'm also counting the mountain, and that looks awesome. Not just because of the amazing shapes here, but she also used a lot of red and green like colors and nearly none of the old plain grey blocks like stone or concrete, which is a very welcome difference to all of the other mountains, I think. And it works so much better than I would have expected for that idea. But now for my improvement, and here I made my life a bit easy, because I just decided to take this flag and make a llama logo out of it. And for this one I don't think I have to talk a lot. That's it. I think I like it. Mumbo. The judgment of Mumbo's base might be the most difficult to me, because most people say this is his best base so far, and I might agree if I try to view it objectively, but the thing is that I'm not a Hermitcraft OG, easily noticeable by my age. And the thing that got me into Hermitcraft was Mumbo Season 7, and his old base there was so mind-boggling to me that it will always hold a special place in my heart, and I can't quite forget how much I loved it. But all of that said, I actually loved Mumbo's Season 8 theme with all the peace-loving plants, and I think all the houses on this mountain are extremely unique, and I've never seen anything that even resembles them closely before. And I'm also very happy that he transformed into an actual builder this season, and this statue is an awesome upgrade for the mountain in my opinion. And in total the whole base just feels like somewhere I would actually want to live. And in terms of upgrading, he actually made my life extremely easy, because he's so proud of his bag.
I'm chafed.
But he didn't actually do it properly. Can you see that? That's an 8.5 square meter hole in his wall. Imagine you had a hole like this in your wall. It would look like this. So I'm gonna fix that. And there it is. Let's move on to the next one. Grian. Yes, we're still in Bottom. When Grian announced his space plans, it was probably the project I was the most excited about, because I love Harry Potter and I was sure it was gonna turn out to be magical. The dedication of him was in fact so big that he made a trip to the actual filming location of Diagon Alley, a video that you can see on his second channel and that I can totally recommend. And when he put all of this to use, it worked out incredible, and Midnight Alley has totally got the magical and overwhelming vibes that were intended. I also love how the other hermits had their little part in the project. Like with Bdubs Redstone Shop, not to confuse with the one in the Big Eyes shopping district, and even more so Scar's spooky back alley. Now for my personal improvement, there are certainly some things I'd like to do. But what I've now actually decided to take on is to make this door back here into a vault door. So let's start. And now it's all done and I can just go here. It's actually a very good system. I've made it myself and I can go in here then. And you guessed it, it's his most precious riches. All of Scar's important things like the snowball or an original Dockham redstone contraption he never got. The most genius thing about this is, if anyone wants to rob this, he can't get out anymore, cause there's no exit. I know, I'm a genius. Let's go to the next one. Xisuma. Access space is one of those I probably underestimated, because when making this list, I was really surprised at how good it was, and I placed it better than the prior ones, even though I've got a lot of emotional connection to those, especially to the bottom bases. And that's because despite the fact that access space area isn't the biggest one, it's so perfect. Every little thing that didn't fit in there was removed, and there are just so many great details in there that make it look so much better than it would have done otherwise. The thing I especially like is that a lot of the buildings are actually containing useful Minecraft contraptions, which to me is a welcome alternation to all of the only decorative, fake or even non-existing interiors. What I adore as well are all of the little pathways that make the place feel so connected. Especially the bridge and this awesome way through the mountain. And here I have to confess that I didn't watch a lot of access videos, so I discovered a lot of things I didn't even know about until downloading the map. So he's someone I'm definitely gonna watch in the future. One thing I don't like so much is the unused potential space in a lot of the buildings, because more often than not, the exterior is way bigger than it would have to be to contain the interior. So I would have liked to have some miniature farms in there. But on the other side, as with Pearl and Impulse, he probably expected the season to last a bit longer and he would have maybe done something there. And now to the thing I wanna improve, and that's I wanna make a little thing in here, just a little decorative fake interior on this part and black out the other windows on this building. So after a few minutes of struggling, I've now decided to make a book room here and I've done it. In the end it was pretty easy. Just a few bookshelves, a lectern and a door connecting the two rooms so that I don't have to make the full interior but can just make a fake one. What I didn't do was to black out the windows because I tried it out and it didn't look good. And now let's get to the next base. Geminitay. I think both of the new hermits being on this list says a lot about how awesome they were as additions, and this base was probably even more surprising to me than Access. Because I have to confess something once again, when she started making the layout, I just couldn't picture something great coming there and I stopped watching the videos, but when I returned, it was just epic. And I just adore this place, and that's really the right word here. Because the fantasy woodland style is just executed so amazingly, and it really looks like a place out of an enchanting fantasy book. And I love enchanting fantasy books. And what I also love is the terraforming here, even though there's not a lot of it, what is there looks pretty good, as well as the custom trees, because custom trees are great. The fields and the deers just look bewitching as well. All the differently formed parts of the main castle just fit together extremely well, and the overgrown roof style reminds me of my old hardcore house. So all in all, Gem is definitely another hermit I'm gonna check out more in the future. And for my little improvement, I decided that this wall looked a bit plain, and I'll try to spruce it up a bit and get rid of the creepers. And this one actually took me longer than the other improvements, but I'm just gonna show you. So there it is. I've just made a little thing to go up, and the entrance that looks actually exactly like the entrance on the front there, so that it fits into the theme, as well as this little pathway that looks like a combination out of this pathway and the front pathway. And then I decided to add a little kind of wall. I hope that fits too. Actually moved this thing up one block so that it didn't connect. Let's go to the next one. Third place. So for the top 3, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds each to write your comment about what you think, what I think. But first I wanted to say that if Impulse had finished his base, he would have gotten the 3rd rank here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kapfen. And after writing the last segment, I just realized Gem wasn't actually the most surprising base to me either, because the most surprising was Kapfen. Because when he first announced this, I thought it would get really boring and just be out of dripstone and dripstone blocks. But I still kept watching the videos and I don't regret it. Because this turned out to be the biggest base on the server and the biome just looks unreal. I love the diverse block palette for the upper and lower desert, as well as the canyon floor, where I love how the actual manual work is presented by using the raw blocks. And I can tell you one thing, it must have been a lot of work. And the raw ore blocks as well as the rooted dirt are also very fitting in this case. And for an improvement, I didn't really find anything major that I wanted to change. So I decided I just wanna make a little new addition where there's a bridge over the lava lake that takes him to Scar. And a few minutes later, I've now built the bridge. It looks like this with very white quartz on the outside, so that it actually stands out a bit, but it should still fit the theme. I've made a bit of tinted glass so that you can see the lava. I've used a bit of copper and other than that sandstone, and I decided to use this here. Don't know if you like it, but I kinda like the little ones on here. Let's go to the second place. Second place. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we're at the person who I consider to be the king of Minecraft building. Good times with Scar, because I think the dedication and the amount of detail he puts into his builds is unmatched. And when I listen to him and how invested he is into the builds he does, then I just inevitably think of him as the Bob Ross of Minecraft. And I think this is also why he only ever had a so-called starter base that was finished in Season 8, because when he does something, he does it properly. And that he did. And I quite literally don't know enough English adjectives to describe the life he manages to get into his builds, the usage of blocks in scenarios most people wouldn't even think about, the creative and cartoonish shapes, all the custom trees, and the masterpiece of a Swagen HQ, as well as the pathways that give me nostalgia to Aquatown. So in a nutshell, this will probably be one of my favorite Hermitcraft bases for years on end, and that this man managed to pull this off while not playing for a considerable amount of time just makes him someone who inspires me and who I'm always gonna look up to in regards of producing content. So this was by far the base that gave me the most problems to find something to improve for, but in the end I decided to extend these utility poles back to the Swagen HQ. And now I'm back and I quite like what I did. Because it's nothing special, but after doing it I think it actually really fits. So we go along here and all the way, and here I actually had to make some little islands that weren't there before, so that we could go along and get it into the Swagen HQ. So I really like the extra utility poles, and now let's get to number 1. And now before the first place, I just wanted to tell you that I'm gonna upload a Hermitcraft video now at least every 2 weeks, and I wanted to ask you what you wanna see in the next one. Do you wanna see the same as this one but for Season 7? A compilation of the shopping empires in Season 8? Or me taking one base and improving it way more than I did in this video? Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. First place. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we come to the first place. Something so legendary that I think it's better than anything in any prior season. Because it's not just the epic buildings, it's the game-breaking technology, only possible because of the hive mind. But it's not just that, it's a story. A story of enormous dedication, of art, not just art by builds one can hardly grasp, but art by editing, by storytelling and by custom-made soundtracks. It's a story of the Hermitcraft. And even though I'm never gonna stop loving people who just do Minecraft and are extremely entertaining and talented, I think Grian, Doc, Jono and everyone else who was part of this journey just raised the bar for what survival Minecraft will be in the future. And if Scar is the Bob Ross of Minecraft, then these people are just, I don't know, damn good at filmmaking. I honestly don't watch a lot of movies. Okay, now let's get back to normal me instead of fanatic me. So the thing I love about this are for one, all of the game breaking features, like Power Node 1, the Octo Chunk and the item shadowing. But also things that are not necessarily game breaking, but just extremely powerful, like the Shulker farm, the Obsidian farm and the Gold farm. But it's the buildings itself as well, obviously, because first of all the block palette just looks amazing. And the style of building is very nice, and what I mean by that is that everything's got legs and looks like a giant alien insect, which is something extremely unique I've never seen before. And I just love all of those buildings. Power Node 1, the octagon itself, this giant bridge holder thing here, the ant, the Shulker, and whatever this thing here is. And I haven't even talked about Octatown at this point. Because even though they weren't able to finish any interior other than the auditorium one, I still think the medieval styled building with the grey block palette and the wheat fields fit perfectly into the theme. But that's enough of the rant, just check out Ren and Doc if you haven't already, they are totally my biggest recommendation for Season 8. And now to my personal improvement, which was pretty hard to find, not as hard as with Scar, but still, I now decided that I'm gonna take this little island here, make it a bit bigger, and most importantly, make it octagonal. And here I am back after building for more time than I would have liked. I've now figured out how to make an octagonal island, and I think it fits into the previous theme. It looks very similar, it's just octagonal. Could have also done that with that back there. Oh, this island is octagonal, I think. So I'll see you all again in the next one, and thanks for watching.